Welcome to the Welsh Yogi Podcast.
Okay, here's another episode of Welsh Yogi Podcast with Tarakanatha Prabhu and Mother Misrani.
Is this where this ridiculous jingle of yours comes in?
It's coming already. They've already heard it. So, I thought...
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Yeah. I thought we'd talk... yesterday we started talking about how Misrani joined. Because didn't you do... I don't know, was it... What year... I saw an advert the other day with Trubuvanatha. There was an old Trubuvanatha poster for a festival in Cardiff.
What year was that?
I don't know. So.
That must have been the end of the 80s.
88.
It must, yeah, I think, because, yeah, it would have been 88. 80, yeah, it would have been 88. I think that was the year that we got banned from the students.
It was the student.
It was in the students' unit because we...
How did you get banned?
At the time, the BBC were... No... Yeah, that's it. That's the poster. Yeah, the Great University Union.
Send this to Peter Gopi and he can put it on there.
That, as I recall, yeah, because we did a lot of advertising, and at that time, the BBC were filming. They were doing completely separate. It wasn't. They were filming cults because remember this is the end of the 80s, and it was. I think it was the Mormons had rented a house, on St. Enid Road, right next to the Union. I think that's what was going. So they would have, and then we just happened to be coming along and doing this. So they would have, how they were influencing and infiltrating into the students, And I think it was the Mormons. No, it was the Moonies. That's who it was. It wasn't the Mormons. It was the Moonies. I don't know what they're called now.
They're still around?
Yeah, they're still around. Yeah, that's that one Tom Cruise is in, isn't he?
No, that's Scientologists.
Yeah, but they used to be the Moonies. That's the Moonies. Yes. Yeah, the Moonies, yeah. I'm sure it is. Yeah. Or was it the other one? John Travolta was in there as well, I think. Anyway, yeah, back in the day, yeah. Anyway, so they was doing some sort of documentary and following these guys around. And then we just happened to rock up with the Hare Krishna festivals because I went there, I had the thing, we said there's a cultural event, but then the BBC come there filming us, and it was a Chinese girl, and I can't remember her name now. Anyway, they started interviewing her. And, it all went, there was no bad press for us, but the head of the Students' Union was like a Christian, or I think he was a born-again Christian, and then they just swept us all up, because of the Moonies were there, they were getting bad press. We was all lumped in as a cult at that time. And
88?
Yeah.
What year did you join then?
End of 86, 87.
Uh-huh.
87 I started to chant. Yeah, it must have been 87, middle of it, yeah. So, yeah, because I just started coming on, then I organised a festival, because then I started to organise a festival, and started just going up putting flyers, when I had the hall, started going up doing Sankirtan to collect for it, and things like that. Giving Trubuvanatha all my money. He said he'd pay me back, and he never did. He was a bugger for that. He used to come down. He said, "Yeah, I need a festival in Bristol. It's called Collective. I'll pay you back, I'm sure." And I used to go up to Scotland and say the same to Balabadra at the time. He was great, You just give him anything he wanted. He was so sweet, He was sold out. He was a fair, because he's just come back. I think at that time, the late 80s, because he left, And then, and he was just reviving his festival program that Prabhupada had told him what to do. So anyway, we got banned. That's how we got banned, and we went and complained. I think Rasa Mandla at the time, that's only just started coming around, I don't remember. They were kind of protesting it, and then, so that was 88, Giridhari is the first time I bumped into back to John at the time then. He was Trubuvanatha's right-hand man, on the festival program.
And what was the festival that So Misrani, Prema, and Gopinath were is
Yeah,
that right?
as I recall, Misrani will have better memory than me. I think it was 96 then, because we did this 88 because we started programs, and then I think we did one in Swansea then, 18 and 90, first one, but then we had a good response from there. I think, as I recall, we had about 40, 50 to the follow-up program. It was a real big, good response. Always had a good response from Swansea, It was always been like that. And I think we had the program, we couldn't get the Quaker, everyone has the meetings in the Quaker house, So we had to go to the YMCA, which is next door, right on the end of the Kingsway, yeah, Kingsway St Helens there. There's a YM there, if it's still there now, but yeah, there's a YM and the Quaker.
Taekwondo,
Is it?
It's not that important. Is it?
No, it's not. No one cares what you were doing.
Sorry, go on.
So that then we did. Yeah, then we had a good. But then at that time I went to India. Then so then it kind of started to fall, and then Trubuvanatha was coming down to do talks. I wasn't doing talks at the time then, and then I went off to India then for a month, and then it was no fun. It was only me around then really at that time, and no one else kind of stepped up to the plate. So we kind of fell away. But then a few years and we got it back on track, and then 96, I think it was 96, and that's when we did in the Paddy Pavilion.
Do you remember getting a flyer for that, Misrani? How did you?
No, I didn't get a flyer for it, but some friends of mine did. That was Kay and Martin.
Okay.
And they had a flyer given to them in Swansea, so they said, come on, let's go, So off we went, and it blew my mind because I'd never met devotees before, ever, in this lifetime. And it was, it was just unreal,
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, I left my name, address, as we ask people to do now. And Tarakanatha would write to invite me to programs. But I just come out of being involved in spiritualism for about 10 years, and there was part of me that didn't really want to get involved with anything again, because what's the point,
And spiritualism was when you talk to the dead, right?
Supposedly.
That's mental. In terms of far out.
Like when we talked to Gopal in the morning.
But yeah, as Tarakanatha is, he's persistent. So in the end, I thought, okay, I'll go to a meeting.
Those letters was because we got the names.
Did you snap those letters?
I've got some cards, yeah.
Have you? From way back?
Not from then, but I know when I went to my first Harinam, the Lord Mayor's Parade in Cardiff, you wrote a letter to me then.
Did I?
Yeah, but I don't know if the very,
I'll
very
never do that
early
again,
ones.
that's for sure. But the letters at the time, because we had the the addresses, or the contact form. Anyone, can we get a fill in? And it was like a standard. What did you think of the festival? And like that. And we got the name. There was name and address and phone number. Then there was no emails. There was nothing. There was just a telephone number. If you got that, or an address. It was mostly addresses. And then for the follow-up, because when we did the follow-up program, I had to write the letter, handwrite it, because I didn't know at the time. We don't know. Just me, Terry in the valleys, isn't it? Up there. I should go down to the square with all the local shop, and there was one. I don't know. She was like a secretary that did typing letters for for businesses. Or I can't remember. They just I dictated to her what I wanted, and then she typed it all out, and I signed it. And I'd go photocopy it, and then to the next shop, and then photocopy however many, whether it was 40, 50 or 60, and then post it, get the stamps, get the envelopes. And it's not like now just go on an email and just bing, and out it goes. It was a whole thing then. And then we used to send...
The original head of communications.
Yeah, that we send out. And that was good. Yeah, that's how we used to do it. There's no computers or anything. Well, we didn't. I was just up in the valleys. So it was like...
Did you remember Misrani's first festival? Do you remember it at all?
I remember.
Gopi now.
I remember the festival. Yeah, there was a real. Yeah, it was a real nice festival. You know,
Is that when
I remember.
Misrani was saying she doesn't believe in a personal God? Was that the...
No, but that was
Another time.
that was when after that festival we followed through because I don't think Misrani come to a few programs, did they?
No, it took a while for me to pluck up the courage, really, to get involved again.
So when you say
So
again,
that's
is
why I
that because
didn't.
you were a spiritualist? You were a spiritualist, and then you just with spiritualism, and then packed that in, and then just like disenchanted by it, type thing. Or?
Well, you know, since my childhood, my parents were of the opinion that there wasn't a God, because if there was, then there wouldn't be the wars in the world. But I could never accept that, and I knew that there had to be something.
That's a big one for everyone.
Yeah.
Why is this suffering? That's a big one. Other religions have a hard time answering. You know, when they say why is this suffering in the world?
But I suppose it took my own suffering to sort of like allow me to, continue that search, and it went into spiritualism for a while. But it was empty. There was nothing, and I was just generally really very unhappy by the end of it. So I just cut all ties, and that was it.
Because we had to follow a program in the Environment Centre. That's in Swansea. Did you come there?
Yeah.
I think because then
Yeah,
we
that's
was
a few.
going there, and then that's where Neelam, and the Burlers, and that's where they started coming to the follow-up programs. Anyway, we had a few there, and as we were starting to go, then it was like okay, then we was just going into we had a program then in the Burlers' house, and that's where and I sent an invite because you was vegan at the time, right? Misrani?
Yes, yeah, I think I
And
was.
Kay was
yeah.
vegan, definitely. I remember because then we had to cook, and I cooked dal, and I just special because they were vegans, and this is like in the 90s now,
You made them vegan, Prashad.
Yeah, especially back then. Yeah, that's just to kind of they were coming, they were vegans, and rather than not come, we made sure there was like because we cook everything with curd, wasn't it? It was always curd, isn't it? And yeah, we made sure they had dal and rice. There's something for them there to eat.
I remember
Anyway.
it was Mata Paneer as well.
Yeah, but that's when we went to Burlers, because that's the first time I remember seeing it, because we were sitting on Burlers' table. That's my first memory.
Yeah.
And because we went into Burlers' house, and then I remember I made pea and curd. I think it was pea and curd. Pea and curd at the time was with wax of Philadelphia cheese in it. It was,
Different to how we make it now.
yeah, different how we make it. It was just tasty. Everything had to be, and everyone loved it. It was, yeah. And I remember sitting there, and we was around the table, and you was talking. You haven't stopped in like 30 odd years, but anyway. But and I remember you. It's a still clear memory in my mind. You were saying, I don't believe in God's a person.
Yeah, I find it hard to.
Yeah, I remember
hard to
you
accept
that. I
that.
remember, but at that time, I remember thinking, okay, we're not going to see her again, but at least eat the prasadam and you'll get some benefit. I remember thinking because it was just because that's another big one for God is a person. That's another one that to wrap up. That's especially when they come to Krishna consciousness. There's a lot of people have a biggest difference. It's more than the four regs. Is God is an actual person. And we have to deal with him as a person because we're so steeped in
But I
impersonalism.
think what really helped me though was reading the Bhagavad Gita. Because it made perfect sense. It was as though it was one of those eureka moments. As I was reading it. I mean, some things I had a little bit of doubt with, and I remember one of them was reincarnation, because I was of the opinion that it has to be black or it's white, and there shouldn't be an in-between. Why can't there be an in-between, but...
What do you mean black or white? What do you mean, like you're dead or you're eternal life?
Yeah, I mean, because I spoke to you about that, didn't I, about reincarnation, and you said, well, it can be
remember.
complicated. It's not, it's not simple.
Nothing in life is simple.
No.
When did Prema...
You said just carry on reading and things would become clear, and they did.
She was a Prabhupada. power of Prabhupada's books.
Yeah.
You know, can't underestimate the power of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prabhupada's books.
Yeah. When did Prema? I can't remember when was they coming round then? But I don't think they were at Burla's then, were they? Prema and Gopinath at that time. I don't recall.
I don't remember them there,
No, I don't remember them there. So
but they were.
maybe they didn't come there, but I can't remember when Prema started. The actual first time.
It was about the same time as
It was the
myself.
same time. It was the same, but I don't know. You know, I remember taking Prema up when he was living in Student Digs, and when he started coming, and we used to go there.
Yeah.
Must have been Marcel. Must have been with me at
We used
that
to drop
time.
him off at the nightclub, didn't we?
Yeah, after
I've done that
yeah.
before.
Yeah, yeah.
You go in the nightclub.
Yeah, we used to pick him up because he's like I said, there was only me and Misrani or something for three. So if we had the four-man Harinam, I'd like a Maha Harinam, you know what I mean? So we just to go out and fair play to them. He was, you know, they were brave. They were coming out. I remember we used to go and dress him. But
Gopinath would go and play in his band,
yeah,
you know, as
yeah, but that was
you know.
yeah. But then we would dress Prema. Then he would come out on Harinam because he had long hair. He would tuck it under his bobble hat because we were shaved. So it was like, it was yeah. And then yeah, we drop it. Then go back. They go and do their thing then. And I remember with Gopinath, wasn't it, when he used to come. He still played with his band. I think we were down in Lamrumney then at the time. Remember?
Oh, I remember the
Jeff.
house there,
Yeah. You have to think about it because this is like jogging memories. And we were, you know, I remember that was like on Lamrumney Estate. It was, I mean, I can't remember. It was August Sunday. It was Jeff Lever. Jeff come to the program. He started coming to the program, and he said we could use his house for programs. And it was like on Lamrumney Estate, which is a rough estate. I remember going one time because Sachi was at it. This is a few years later, and he says, "This is all we got for preaching in Wales." It's a rough estate.
Yeah, my first memory of that place is when Vikramuku Swami was there.
Yeah.
He came there, and I remember him being there in the front room, you know, and Savita asked the question, and she wasn't very happy with the answer that she had. Can't remember exactly what it was now, but she certainly wasn't very happy.
He was a sannyasi at
Yeah.
the time, and I think
Yeah.
he was struggling a bit, so he was like a bit heavy maybe sometimes with the question. Yeah, he had us worship, and we had these, because you were saying that first Ratha Yatra, but it was, what was his name, Steve? He was a northern, he was from Newcastle, and he paper mache, they did these paper mache Jagannath deities, and they were really good. They were tall, I don't know, they must have been about over a metre and a half high. And it was a Lord Mayor's parade, and he made them because I wanted to do, you know, take the deities out. That's why I asked him, he said he can make them, and he made them. They were pretty good, just paper. They were lightweight, really lightweight.
Yeah, much like it.
Really, like Jagannath, our Jagannath, I think is over 80 kilos, 80, 90 kilos. They're
I'm
really,
80 kilos.
yeah,
No, 70, 78 now.
is it?
Sorry.
I'm sure there's a few jokes in there, but just for the sake of keeping this podcast short, I'm not going to turn it into a jokey session. But yeah, and then I had a flatbed truck, and it was on the Lord Mayor's parade, and we just put the deities on the back, and Mini Ketana, Gandhavaka, there was only a few.
Rasaparani was there.
Yeah, there was a few of us. There was
Yeah.
only about half a dozen of us at the time on the Lord Mayor's parade. So that was the first Ratha Yatra in Cardiff. That must have been, I don't know, whether 96, 97, something.
97, I think.
Somewhere that.
It'd be great to dig out
Yeah.
some pictures of that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I just hired a little flatbed truck.
I've got some pictures of it, actually.
Alright.
We've got to
Yeah,
read your house
few
and try and
pictures.
got these pictures and letters and stuff. This is stuff we've got to gather,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. That was the first Ratha. That was our first one. It was tagged onto the Lord Mayor's parade, and I remember going through Canton, and we got, we was, Mini Kate was leading the Kate, and we was in there.
Like so long.
Yeah, still on. Yeah, that's right. And someone come up and threw a bucket of water on Gandhavaka
Completely
at
soaked
that
her.
time. I saw it, and she was just dancing. We was all just dancing. And we was all just, I mean, And she was just dancing around and jumping around, and the guys were just looking at. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what was going on. They walked away laughing.
But Chris was there, wasn't he? As well? Was Chris there? I seem to remember.
Oh yeah. I can't. Yeah.
Is that the one that left his body in Mayapur?
Yeah, he left his body in Mayapur. Yeah. There was Bob McEwen. I remember he was from. There was.
He's trying to hold back all the nicknames now.
Yeah, I'm trying to take after you. Yeah, that was the first. That was our first Ratha Yatra. But we was always getting a better result in Swansea. That's why we gravitated towards Swansea, because that's where Prema came, Gopinath, Misrani, and then we studied them. That was a nucleus then. That was a kind of nucleus we started to build, and some stability.
Then we had Humphrey Street, didn't we, first?
Yeah.
As a little restaurant.
Yeah, yeah.
Was there a moment, Misrani, where you thought, okay, I'm going to dedicate my life to this? So you're quite, you're very...
Yeah, it was definitely a time, when I knew that. I mean, that was quite early on in spiritual life. When I started reading the Bhagavad Gita, it was at that time I knew there is nothing else.
What was your first, and Charlie, your husband, were you super fanatic at first, like all of us, and really heavily preached to him? Or?
Yeah, I tried to be, go home and, give him lots of, it's this, it's that, And then I remember Tarakanatha telling me, back off, because, you're going to make him inimical, like that, so just button it, basically. So he did, but, he was suspicious, of course, because his only association of devotees was in Southampton, and that was in early 70s. And the devotees were quite forward,
I think he had a bit of a bad experience on the street getting hit up.
Yes,
it was high pressure stuff. So
that was only his experience.
But to his credit, no, he did. Well, you can imagine there was just Margot, the secretary, and she was exemplary when she started to chant. I remember he was working in estate agents, right?
Yeah.
And she used to get up, chant all her rounds before she'd go to work. Get her kids up together, sort the family, get them off to school. No, they left school at that, but then.
No, they were 12 and 14.
That's it, yeah. So she'd get them off to school, get up, chant all the rounds, then go to work, and then come back and do it. It's very exemplary, people. So when you see sometimes it's busy life when you go to work, I got no time in work. She had a family, full-on family, and she was up chanting her rounds, doing all her and come to programs.
Shows it can be done, doesn't it?
Yeah, it shows it can be done. It shows it can be done when you have that steady determination. It just takes time, as we were just reading. You just got to. It does take time. It will come if you keep chanting, you keep praying for mercy, and the mercy will come. It will come.
Yeah, I think it happened, with my husband as well. When you got to know him, Gopinath and Prema, so
Yeah, we used to go and visit and speak to him, talk to him. Then you can see we was kind of, not as normal can be. We was just normal. He's just reassuring them, we're not kidnapping his wife, and he's not losing his wife.
My kids thought I'd lost my trolley.
Well, we think that anyway.
But no, they don't understand why I do what I do, but if I'm happy, that's good enough for them. So in that way, I'm very fortunate. So
yeah, you're fortunate. You have supportive. You have support, and that's always. I remember Guma saying that. He give the example that when one person comes to Krishna consciousness and and the other partner, whether they're married or not, if it can go one of three ways. If they're inimical, it can really put tension on relationship, and they can strain relationships, and they can polarize, And if they're favourable, they'll come together. But if the other partner's neutral, it's on the strength of the other partner's devotion, you can pull them along. And that's what's happened. That certainly happened with Jackie, with me, because she was neutral. She was just going along. Okay, following me. Okay, he's my husband. He's gone nuts after 10 years of marriage. He's decided to go. So, All of a sudden he's running around the valleys wild, and then all of a sudden now he's going all religious, had some religious conversion. But she was a good woman. She followed her husband. That was a big leap of faith. But she was neutral. She wasn't. So it's on the strength of that devotee's devotion. You can just pull if they're neutral because there's no tension, and then they can be pulled along. So that indirectly they do a lot of service. Like Charlie's indirectly done lots of service, helping. Same as Jackie's. It's they just because they are not getting in your way and they're facilitating you to do service. They'll just get better, and then naturally, it's more and more. Angata Sukriti is called unknown. Angata, what's it? Bhakti Angata Sukriti, unknown pious devotional credit.
Because what my husband doesn't realise is that he's actually Krishna's gardener. Because every year, I go to the nursery and buy flowers, put in the garden. But I'm not the gardener. My husband is, So he's going to get so much benefit from that. Yeah.
Jack used to just say when the Sankirtan boys are going down, Pramanava, his brother Sridham, and she'd do all their washing, all brahmacharis, they were just staying in the house all over the place, trashing the place. She'd wash and cook and clean up after, but just doing a motherly, and she makes so much advancement for that. And that's what Gumad said that time when he came to Swansea, when we opened Swansea. Jackie didn't come down, but he was looking for her. He was, to give her credit that because he said, I kind of practically walked out on my family when, I was a bit extreme, It's just kind of, I was there, I wasn't. Anyway, I wasn't kind of, but they all supported, especially Jackie, so, yeah. Because I was on the strength of the voice, they can get pulled along because they're neutral, that's what I'm saying.
Do you remember that time when there was a devotee in West Wales that was ill, and you and Gurumaj, you went to visit him?
Oh, Madan Gopal.
Yeah. And
yeah,
then
he died. Yeah.
You both stepped up in my attic.
That's right.
My house, because I've only got a small house.
We was in Leicester. I was driving Gurumaj around in Leicester, and then it was Madan Gopal. Used to be. I think he was Gurumaj's first secretary, and they drove Gurumaj. I think it was I think it was a caravan, and then he went ill. I can't remember. Anyway, Gurumaj, we drove down from Leicester all the way down to West Wales, and he brought his Giriraj in. I remember he put his Giriraj on the. But we had to have somewhere to stay, and we was driving down, but I phoned because we didn't have mobile phones then. I think I phoned before. I said, "Get a room ready." Was you initiated at that point then? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. So this was towards the end. We hadn't. Yeah, this must have been 98, something like that. 97, maybe. What was it? Yeah, or 2000. When did you get initiated? That was in Humphrey Street, wasn't it?
That was the first one in Wales, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Raman got his second.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That's in Humphrey Street in the old Aoka Centre. Yeah, and then we come and stayed there. We just rocked up, but I don't know what time it was. I drove all the way down from Leicester. We belted down. This was at the night in the program. He's got this message. He's about to leave his body. So we jumped in the car. We drove down. I remember he's leaving. He was at the hospital. I remember he had Giriraj at the time. He was a small Giriraj. He was doing puja. He put that on his chest.
Because you and Gurumaj stayed in the shrine.
Yeah, then I said to me, this was like, I can't remember, it was early hours of the morning, we got to Misrani, she's waited there. We just, went upstairs, slept, and then just left then and drove, I think, to London then the next morning. Yeah. So those are a few memories. I'm along.
Get back to tomorrow.
Yeah. I know, they're just coming as we're talking about tuning about it. Yeah, I can't, yeah. But we've come a long way since then, but Swansea's always been a happy hunting ground, for devotees. What do they call it? Where fallen yogis take birth, Definitely, there's lots, like as you two. There's lots of devotees. Well, you three are all from the Swansea area. Yeah. All right, shall we go and take some prasadam now?
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti